Good day, guys. It's Seku Games with you. Before we begin, I'm going to be honest here. I'm not the best of talkers, and my English is not good as well. And sometimes I think faster than I speak. So please endure with me if I'm trying to speak slower or if I make mistakes because I'm not really strong with English. Alright, so in today's video, we are going to be talking about Seku's Games Optimization Kit Pro. All right, we have the free version, you can get it as well, but it's titled Advanced Optimization Kit Pro in Unity Store. All right, so usually we have our own navigation part, but because of Unity Store recommendations and requirements, we have to put it into some existing menus because things are a lot of us have been doing this in the past, and Unity is finally kicking in about this, so we can't have clustered navigation menu anymore. I'm in with them about that. So let's go into our optimization pro. By the way, before we start, we also have some other kits like Localization Pro. It's a very advanced tool that you could use for your localization. It has everything, including subtitles for you. So for those of you that love to shoot movies in Unity or animations in Unity, you could also use this localization window because it fully supports what you want to do. So now that I've done a little bit of advertisement about the Localization Pro, let's go to the Optimization Pro. Okay, so as you can see, we have several phases here. All right, we have 8 phases. 8 is the most recent one, and it's still experimental for now. So what are these phases? Okay, so we have phase one. Phase one is going to be your best friend. Actually, you're going to always use it. You use it at the beginning of your production. You also use it during mid production, and you use it into during late production. All right, so the phase one is where you scan and you prepare what is heavy. Okay, like you're going to scan, you have several scanners there, so you scan everything in your scene or project to prepare what is heavy, and you easily know what is heavy. You could also fix things there and also know what is heavy for your later phases. So phase two, all right, Toxa is where you're talking about what should be alive in the scene or loaded. All right. For example, now you want your mountains to be loaded, you don't want the trees to be loaded. Then phase three is where you make visible things cheaper, right? For example, now trees are very expensive, so with the phase three you can make things cheaper. Then with phase four, all right, it now goes deeper and defines clear quality profiles. Phase 4 defines clear quality profile as assets. This one is used to control how the project behaves. And phase 5 is where you apply those qualities at runtime. Okay, then you have phase 6. Phase 6 is measurement of frame time, memories and build, and letting your game define itself. Then we have phase 7, which is just a dummy marketing tool that would help you to help you to keep to what you're doing and to keep with the focus of your game. You could also use it to submit data to an AI to immediately give you an advice on what your project is about. Then we have phase 8, which is the advanced option that has been recently added. All right, what this one does is it benchmark your game's quality. It does GPU instancing, and we have experimental dot streaming bridge. Okay, so now let's begin with your guide. When you come to the optimization kit pro, the first thing you have to do is to look into the guide. Please do not skip this. Look at the guide. All right, so you could also open the windows from here. As you can see, this is very detailed guides, but we also, if this is not enough for you, we also have an in-depth, okay, we have an in-depth documentation for you here. We are going to be adding 2 different docs, one that is a little bit straightforward, and then one that is very descriptive. Okay, so let us begin. Before we begin anything here, let us enter into our dev mode. Dev mode is very important for those of you that love to edit codes without having to compile every single time you make an edit. And also for those of you that forget, just like me myself, forget to save your scene during working on it, and all of a sudden something happens, you're like, oh no, I forgot to save. So this also gives you the chance to auto save your scenes from time to time. So when you open it, obviously it's as simple as it is. Compilation log, and then we have our Unity. We have a compilation log, and then we have our Unity is compiling. This Unity is compiling is when you've disabled compilation log, then you're going to see Unity is compiling. Although you should always also know the cost of this. For those of you that want to use it, you should know that any little edit you make and you want to test it, you shouldn't really use this. But if you're sure of your edit and want to finish making all your edits before you test, then you can use this. All right, then we have the enable autosave, and then we have the use fast play mode. All right, so let's assume you've done that. The next thing you're going to do now is now to go to your wherever you want to go and edit the scripts you want to edit. That's the first tool, a dev tool. It's not part of the phases of the automation, but it has been added because we consider dev tool helpful for programmers, for coders. So if you have a coder on your team, this tool will really help him out when he's editing codes. All right, so let's begin. As we said, you start with the phase 1. Phase 1 is the same thing as 1.6 and 1.7. We also have a 1.5, and that 1.5 has been recently moved into phase 1. Maybe in the later futures, we might move phase 1.6 and phase 1.7 as well into phase 1 to be clearly known. But for now, they are also recently added patches to phase 1. That is why they are currently on their own. So let's begin with phase 1. So you can open the automation guide, and as you can see, it has everything that you need to do for your optimization. All right, so we have mesh, audio, physics, particles, and everything here works. Okay, everything here does is work. However, you might want to take note of something here, which is we currently have prefab folder. We don't have scanning all scenes in this pro version, but it's available in the free version. It scans your whole project, but we are trying to avoid that. All right, we're trying to avoid scanning the whole project to find things because it's not really a smart way to do things. You could have a 100 gigabyte size of a project and have so many things there. So this could take a while to load depending on how your system is or your CPU is. For some, your system might crash. So we decided to shorten it. So we decided to remove project scan and instead prefab folder. So whenever you are putting a prefab folder, make sure your path looks like this. Make sure your path looks like, please forgive the background noises. Make sure your path looks like this. All right, no, not like this. We're going to remove some things from it. So let's remove this. So your path should always start with the assets, then down to where your prefabs are. Also about the prefab scanners, it only scans prefabs. So anything you have that is a prefab, it will only scan that. If you have scripts inside the prefab, it's going to scan that, but it's not going to scan any single files. We could add that back if there is a large demand for it. We could add that back, but the reason why we decided to use a prefab folder is in case for those of you that have decided what you're using in your scene, because your scene is your main focus and not your project. So whatever you decided to use in your scene, and you've put it in the scene and put it back as a prefab into the project folder, then we assume that you are going to use that in the future, and hence why we decided to use a prefab folder, so that we can only optimize prefabs that are going to be used. Although there are some assets that also come in prefabs, and that's fine. You could also scan those as well. Take note, you can also create a separate folder just in the assets, and that would save you a lot of time and avoid complexity. So that's, you can create a folder and have it here. So when you run the scan, you might see scene health is 100%. That's because it found no issues, and it has scanned. So if you don't understand why it found no issues, you would have to first of all understand what it analyzes. All right, what it analyzes, and also because this is not a right part, we don't really have anything there. So the reason why this is coming out now, instancing, there is no instancing. As you can see, instancing is turned off in this. So we are going to go to details, and we can apply autofix to it. We could also ping it as well to know which one doesn't have instancing on. You can see. So before we fix it, let me explain what this scene health is. This scene health is just a general score of your project. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's not accurate. By the way, it doesn't necessarily mean anything. And sometimes you might have 0. It just shows that you have so many things to fix. It doesn't mean it's going to affect your. It will affect the performance, but it might not affect the performance of the system you're using, depending on how powerful your system is. So for those of you that are using a crazy ass system, kudos to you. So as you can see, we have cost 10. All right, this cost 10 literally means that this doesn't really have any issues. All right, it won't really give you a problem in any build you have. But when you have too much of this, try to reduce it as much as possible. The maximum cost we have is 100. So anything above 50%, you should try to actually work on it and not just ignore it. All right, so anyways, let's try and apply a fix for this. All right, you can see it's been fixed, and the next time you scan it will be gone. But before we try that, let's first of all check the details. All right, we have this severity score. This severity score is just, it changes based on how serious the information is. You can see that for low cost like cost 10, it's blue and comes as an info. But if it's becoming dangerous, you're going to see it change to yellow, which is warning. All right, and then red, which is critical. All right, so you can also see your source, and that's about it. So we run the scan again, and you can see it's gone. All right, so whatever fix you do, always try to rerun the scan so that it can be gone. You can see we have no audios. All right, we do have an audio. Okay, by the way, guys, this is just a random asset I got from Unity store and decided to use it. As you can see, we have a lot of things in the hierarchy view, but it's not really dangerous considering how it is. What is dangerous is if we have all this inside just one parent. That is what actually hits your performance. So this one, you could also ping it, and then you could also fix. It says warning cost 90. The reason why is because things that are not streaming are actually very dangerous, and like we said, warning. So I think that is pretty much all for the scanner faces. You have your different builds. Also, when you do scan builds, make sure all your scenes that you're using are in builds. We'd also click to include inactive, so every inactive object would also go through scanning. So we could also check your hierarchy cost. It shows nothing, but if we maybe try to put all this, create empty, try to put all this, Control into one parent. You can see it's freezing, and that's because of that's a lot to put in one place. So let us run the scan again and see if we'll see any distinct. So it says cost is 10. It's not really that bad, but it's still bad. Like it tells you, large parent transform cost GPUs by. So that is just it. It's not really that much of a issue, but the more you have, the more it can get. All right, so that's that for phase 1. Let's go to phase 1.6. So the missing script is pretty explanatory as well. Scanner opens scenes or prefabs and the same thing, but just in a smaller version of the scanner. Later on, like I said, it's going to be moved into the phase 1 completely. Now we have the network advisor. This doesn't really do much. It's just a dummy and a system that exists regardless of whatever multiplayer plugin you're using. So you just for those of you that are doing your networking, you know what your networking is and what you want to do. All right, make sure you're a master of what you want to do. So you could also, if you want to use this, you also need to know more about it. So I would advise you to read its guide. It has its own guide here, or you also read the extended guide in project folder. Oh my god, I am very terrible at this. Oh my god. All right, wake up. I hope you're not sleeping. Wake up. All right, so phase 2. We have our toggle, we have our create presets. This is just to create. We have already made presets for you just in case, but this is not optimal. This is just a general one. You could further go straighter or go looser based on what you want. So cooling manager. All right, after phase 1, the next thing you want to go into is actually cooling manager. You first of all add your cooling manager to scene before you can begin anything. Once you've added to scene, you also need to create your own cooling profile. I already have one, but we're going to go about how to create another one. So to create a cooling profile, it's pretty simple. You create, all right, go to create, you look for Circus Games, all right, and then Automation Pro, and then we are in phase 2. So phase 2, word stream profile, and there we have it. This is word stream profile. Oh no. Oh, sorry guys, I missed it up. We literally passed it. Okay, so phase 2, this is what happens when the developers just gives it to the project manager to explain everything. So I've done my own side of it and done everything before coming now, but I'm still messing up. So you can see it takes a certain level of constant use to get used to it. So we have to first of all create our profile here. All right, let's go with low mobile. After creating our low mobile, we put it here. You can see we have a lot of things. Rendering distances, you can put your rendering distances and layer. That layer, you need to understand what it is. That is why you also need to read the documentation. All right, because we're not going to be explaining a lot of things here. This is just a generic tutorial for everyone on how to get about the tools and start using them. All right, so you can see we have everything. Draw Gizmo spears, you will see the spears and heat map. And yeah, it's just that we also have jobs or bursts, as you call it, enabled in this, but it might not work based on your system. Okay, it might not work based on your system. So you have it here. We later import the phase 8 plus jobs package, which you would go and you find job. For me, I already have jobs here. I think this is the one. So you also add this to your, you go to settings. We can use build settings. All right, go to player settings. All right, this is where you are going to add it in. Let's expand this. So this is where you are going to add it in. Currently this has nothing inside. So we are going to add, you could add your scripting defines here. You put it upkit enabled, then exactly as it is here, you put it there. All right, so that is that about that one. That's if you want to use jobs, but without jobs this will work perfectly without jobs. That's just for you that are, for those of you that are advanced performance freaks that want to get every single bit of job for your system, rather for your game. Okay, so now we've talked about that in phase 2. Let's go to phase 2, static scene chunk builder. All right, this static scene chunk builder is for those of you that have a large room, all right, and or a large hallway, and you want to chunk it. This is long, by the way. Oh my god, they would have to work on it, I guess. Well, okay, it screws. Anyways, yeah, so you would have to profile asset, your world stream profile asset is the same thing as the world stream profile asset of the other one, but this is for static scenes. Now if you want to maybe chunk your static scenes, the scenes that you've marked static, like rooms and so on, you can put them based on how you want them to be. This is what it is for. This is what this one is for. Otherwise you don't really need to be using this one most of the times. All right, so that is that about that phase 2 static scene chunker. You can see you could create a new profile or you use one you've created already. So next we have the world streaming machine. All right, this is the one that would benefit those that have large worlds and want to stream it. Even though you have a small world, it's still beneficial to you if your world is small but still somehow far away that the players can see everything. So the same thing, you can create a new profile or you use one of them that exists, and you can see it's the same profile for both, like I said, and it's pretty explanatory. You can see I've already chunked a whole large terrain before. All right, so you could also, but before you chunk, you have to first of all put your terrains data here. Then you decide the tiles, and once you decide the tiles, you now click split terrain into chunk scenes. All right, split terrains into what chunk scenes. Then you can click add chunks from active scenes or add chunks from selection or scene chunks to build settings. Is up to you. All right, but in our later updates we're going to make more use of this. Okay, so just like the way you also created a runtime cooling manager, you have to create a runtime world streamer as well. They are two different things and we would avoid having them in the same place. In the runtime cooling manager we didn't put any cameras, so we left it to all cameras, but you could decide a camera that you want and you can make your settings here. You can see this is enabled because I have jobs, but we won't be using that since it's experimental and this is just an introduction video. In the future maybe I might explain more or do faces by faces tutorials, but for now let's try and cover everything as fast as possible. All right, so world streaming profile, you currently have no profile there, so you could add the same one. Make sure you add the same one. There was no terrain here, but you can see it's showing the terrain tracking data. These are large, by the way. All right, so now that we've talked about those phase 2, let's go to phase 3. Phase 3 visual optimization, as you have it here, is basically just for those that want to do bboard meshes and textures. You can either first of all choose a folder, all right, under assets where you want the generated results to go into. And in the mode for the bboards, we have the simple and the multi-view imposter. We have the resolutions you could use, and this padding is based on what you want. All right, you could also read more into the documentation to find this. All right, in the future, like I said, I would give you guys a more detailed explanation. Okay, so this is an optional load group. You don't really need it if you're a load master on your own, or you don't really need any load in your game. All right, this load group is only for maybe generating, all right, only for generating your automatic changer from detail to bboard. All right, so if you want that, you could use ours or you could make yours. There is no big issue with that. Next, we have meshes. All right, meshes. This prefab name surface is the made the name that will be added to the made prefabs. You can analyze the source mesh stats. It will give you a list of things. You see the picture in the documentation, give you a list of things, your vertex and so on, and then tell you to build combined prefabs. Then for the textures, by the way, this meshes is if you want to combine several meshes together. If you don't want to combine several meshes together, you can still just use it for one as well. But it's very good for combining meshes because it's going to come out as a single mesh, which is really nice actually, guys. You need to try it out. The texture is just your normal texture compressor. In fact, most of the times you don't need it, but you could get it if you want to. You could use it if you want to. But there is something really interesting. We have this max packing material system. Okay, you can put a list of things here and then it will pack everything into a packed max, and you can use that packed max as your detail max. In most of these materials, they have it a detailed max where you can put your max. So you could, this is it, base map, normal map, you could just put this max. It combines everything here into this. All right, so this is really helpful for base map. This is really helpful for those of you that have so many high quality materials, and this would help save performance because you're not really reading from several textures. Yes. Okay. So next one is going to be phase 4. Okay. Project quality build. You create a new profile, but I already have one, so I will just be showing you what it does. Like I told you, profiles for global quality. This is for the whole system. Okay, so you could capture from current project, apply profile. You could capture from current project. It captures everything from current project, which is high shadow distance and everything. And you can also create the ones for VRO. Create standalone VRO, which 72 hours is your baseline for a VRO. And 90 Hz is one of the nice baselines for PC. So you will understand why in the documentation. Once you read it, it's there and it's really important, something you should not overlook. All right, so we have our build scan as well. It scans enable builds and it shows you what is there. As you can see, assets, textures 6. This is the demo. Meshes 76 shows you everything you need to know. Which of them needs to be more worked on more. All right, so then we have the VRO audit, which just tells you what issues you're having with your VRO right now. It's not the best for VRO optimization, but it's the best we have in our tool for VRO, because primarily we didn't think about VRO players, but as we were making ourselves the advanced optimization kit pro, we decided that it's nice we include everyone as much as possible. So there we have it, VRO. So the next one we are going to is your phase 5, which is the runtime quality. You see that quality we made in phase 4. All right, you would use this, you will use it in phase 5. As you remember, that quality preset is the same preset we used in phase 4 and it was the same thing. All right, so now we'll create a controller in scene, and that controller is the one that actually helps do everything you need. All right, then we have that optional phases adaptive quality manager. You can drag it in there. You get it, you can drag it in there, which I'm coming soon. I'm coming to that. Okay, so you just tell you presets to use, presets to add. Is once you read the documentation again, once again you get everything. Okay, so phase 6 now, runtime performance. This runtime performance, all right. This mono behavior is going to be looking for, let us look for this thing. This is it, Adaptive Quality Manager. Once you create this, you can drag this in. Are you getting me? Once you create your Adaptive Quality Manager, you drag it into your runtime quality controller. The runtime quality controller and the Adaptive Quality Manager are kind of like the same functions, but not. They're actually doing several distinctive things. And where the Adaptive Quality Manager shines is in your automatic fight. It's making your game to automatically fight for itself. Where we have some low-end systems, your Adaptive Quality Manager can try its best to do things to make sure the game survives. So it means that you're giving your game some kind of life to take care of itself in your customer's system. All right. So that is pretty explanatory, and as you've been seeing throughout the video, we have several toolbox that helps you understand or to explain. So now we have the big guys, phase 7. This is actually something I'm proud of because I'm a project manager and I do a lot of marketing as well as so on. So this is really nice to have in the project, because while they are working on the project, I could also be deciding to put in our details and our plans in here. So, earlier I told you could take this to an AI. Well, there are two different things here. All right, which you have the generate snapshot now. Okay, this will generate this thing. This will generate a JSON that you would take to an AI. The AI will understand completely. You don't have to say anything. And then we have another new option, which leads you to our site. All right, we have a little AI. Well, it's not working as we expected it to be, but for now, so far, it's going to just give you a more beautiful look of your files. And we don't keep any of your files, by the way. We don't keep any of your files. The reason why we have that online one, because from time to time I would try to update our market data that we have there, because we update those market data and it will be compared with what you have to give you as much benefit as possible. You can see that the risk score for this is 95. It gives you some basic stuffs. All right, it gives you some basic stuff. Things in build scripts, approximately it scans your build and tells you what is there. So all right, I want to show you something very important for those of you that are going to be using this design and market advisor. We have some additional options that are not showing here, I think, which is I'm going to go to the profile. You can click ping as well. It will take you there. Okay, so when we are there, you'll notice that there are some additional things that weren't showing with this build. You have your tune and style tune. You don't have a tune and style here. You can see you have your unique selling point, main influences. You don't have a main influences. All right. Standard raising, you don't have a standard. Market density, you don't have. You get it. So these are some additional things that you could also add. All right, so this is for those of you that do the marketing. All right, then when you add all this, don't worry about generating it. You come back here and click the same thing, generate snapshot, and it generates the snapshot. It's not anything special. All right, then the last one, and not the least, finally. By the way, we didn't talk about the batching instancing advisor. Oh my god. Okay, batching instancing advisor. I'm sorry guys, I'm so sorry. But this just tells you things to batch. Alright, select renderers and scene, enable instancing of material. This so just telling you, not really that much of a big deal. Okay, so the last one, which is phase 8, we first of all have the validate setup. All right, first of all, it helps you to set up your scene for the build. You create manager. All right, we have our manager. This gives you indirect instance scene. You have what you need to do. Everything is here. And then this is just to validate your sim. Since I have jobs, it showed for me, but you might not see this in your sim. You might not see this in your own projects because you might not have it. All right, so now phase 8 advanced runtime mode. This is where your GPU A-Stassin lives in. This is where it lives what in. Okay. So guys, with that coming to an end, this was just a extensive showcase of all the tools that we have in our optimization kit pro, and the next video will be an introduction video about our localization pro as well, to know what we have there, to know whether it's worth your time, and also to show those that currently have it how to use it or how to get started. At least that's what this basic video is about. So now that we've done that, I'm going to show you, right, for future references, that this system is a 2013 system, and most of the times we can only get 35 to 40 something FPS with the optimization tool, because the system is really old and weak. It's a laptop of those 2013 era with a second or third gen i5 processor for PCs. So you should know how weak this system is and how powerful this tool is to make things actually work. Okay guys, so yes, I'm not lying here when I'm talking about our CPU and how old it is. As you can see, just 2 cores. It's not even one of the strong i5s. It's one of the weak, but somehow it survived. Then our GPU that is no more supported, all right, it's just dead, guys. So anyways, yeah, we use this to make games and use this to work on our optimization tools so that we can best give the result for both ends: high-end system users, mid-end system users, and then lower-end system users. So everyone can have the tool and use it. It's lightweight. Okay guys, thanks for watching, and see you in our next video.